Welcome to Social Media for Business. This is part one of a two-part series. Please keep in mind as you go through, there are multiple ways where you can do social media. This particular session or series is actually designed for business owners who are really just trying to start the process and get into how things go. This is not going to be designed for people who are social media influencers or for your individual Facebook, Instagram pages. Let's dive right on in. The first thing we're going to talk about today is storytelling and the art of storytelling. Then we'll talk about why does social media matter? Everybody comes to me and says, hey, is this really important? Do I need to have a social media presence? The next thing we'll do is talk about social media best practices. In the second part of our series, we'll overview each individual social media network, and then we'll discuss sort of like our favorite things as social media resources. Let's get started. I'll first tell you a little bit about my story and sort of how we came about. A few years ago, I was snowboarding. And there's a much younger gentleman in front of me, and he looks down at my snowboard and he says, dude, how old is your snowboard? And I sheepishly looked at him and I said, it's about 10 years old. And he says, do you know how much the technology has changed since you purchased that snowboard? In an effort to preserve my youth, I went and bought the most high-tech snowboard I could find. The staff members were clapping as I was walking out the door. My company, Kaleidoscope Consulting Group, helps transform images for people who have websites and social media platforms as old as my snowboard. Our goal is to transform your image, and we do that through compelling graphic design. We do that through succinct copywriting, and we help people transform their image. I am a digital communication specialist. I'm also a diversity and inclusion leadership coach. You can reach me on social handles. You can reach me at Kaleidoscope Rocks on the web or on social. And personally, you can reach me at Bonique Travels. So now we want to talk about what is your story and what's the impact that your story has. Because when you look at social media, the goal is just to simply tell your story to the world in a more succinct manner. When we look at these pictures here, the left photo shows people, it tells me that they are tailors. And I know that because they're standing in front of suits, but I also know that because there's a sewing machine in the background. So in this situation, in these situations, a picture is worth 1,000 words. When possible, when you take photos for your social media platform, you want to tell a story. When I look at the top right, I see maybe some sort of creative agency. They've got like a brick wall behind them. I know that they're creatives. They're wearing jeans, they're not wearing suits. When I look down below, the woman who's eating a cupcake, I know that she either loves cupcakes or she sells something that involves baked goods. Her picture is telling the story. And when I look at the bottom right-hand corner, I'm thinking of an accounting firm, I'm thinking of a law firm. When you go to figure out who you are and what you want to convey online, you want to make sure that the pictures match the content that you are posting, because social media is everything about your photos. So what's the opportunity? Why does this matter? Social media spend was over $17 billion in 2019. So now we're in 2021. Imagine how that number has come out. When you look at it, 24% of business owners don't even use social media, and those people are usually over the age of 40. What this translates to is that it's super critical that if you want to attract the next generation of buyers, if you want to sell to people who are under the age of 40, you must start working on your social media presence. Social media is not a get-rich strategy. It takes time, it takes focus, it takes discipline. Unless you are going to invest in being the ultimate influencer, give yourself some patience. And a lot of times social media means you might have to throw some money at it. You may have to invest in ads, etc. So what's in it for you? How do you do it? Particularly, we're all in a global pandemic, and you see that there are different people who are able to pivot. The organizations that are able to pivot are still there. You can walk to your local restaurants and notice that there are some restaurants that have closed down the doors. We may never see those restaurants again, unfortunately. There are other restaurants that are thriving. Those are the restaurants that are not just using technology, but they're using social media to extend their platform. They're shipping food, they're delivering food. Social media is going to give you the opportunity to extend your brand on a global scale. More importantly, it provides instant feedback from your clients. When your clients love you, they want to become influencers for you. They want to tweet about you, they want to tag you. When your clients need to give you some feedback, they'll also do the same thing in doing so. So different than a traditional marketing medium, what you know is that one, social media is incredibly trackable. Back in the old days, you look at billboards and they count how many cars go by, and those things are really great, but you really don't know who's actually looking at that billboard. Social media gives you the opportunity to track every person who goes to your website, interacts with you. It's one of the most trackable forms of medium, which makes it way more cost effective if you are a small business owner. So what are the next steps? You're like, I'm in, what are we gonna do? How do I do it? The first thing you need to know is define your audience. Who is your target market? I have been in business for 20 years this year, and I can tell you that 60% of my clients are women. And that doesn't mean that they're all women-owned businesses, but it means that the people who do hire me tend to be women. I can tell you that 40% of my clients happen to be Black or African American. And again, it doesn't mean they're always Black-owned businesses, but it means those are the people that actually I attract. I can also tell you that 80% of my clients are over the age of 40. And so I need to use different marketing mechanisms. Grammar matters. Those details matter. Looking at all those things. So the first thing you need to know is who is buying your product or service. You have to define your audience. The next thing you need to do is set social media goals. What are the goals? What are the objectives? Is the goal to brand your company? Is the goal to sell more? Is the goal to engage, educate, excite? You need to figure these things out before you start aggressively pursuing social media opportunities. Keep in mind that nobody wakes up and looks at their phone and says, I want to be sold something today. So we need to figure out, how do we create a level of excitement for people so they want to be a part of you, they want to be an advocate for you. More importantly, they want to forward your message, your brand, onto their friends and family. So why are they going to follow you? They're going to follow you because they want insights about you, your company, industries, products. They want to know about you, the person. In general, people respond to people. They don't respond to buildings. If you look at people who post quotes on their websites, quotes will always underperform photos. If you want to post a quote, that quote should have a photo attached to it. Everything is about people, kids, old people who are having fun. You want to really engage the audience. Social media is great for special offers. You got to be able to entice people, give them a sale. How do you stand out from the crowd? Social media should also be social. We need the human side of you. We want to know what's going on with you personally, what's going on with your organization. We want to see your team members, your colleagues. We want to engage with you, particularly when I can't engage with you as much now in 2021 with People and Purpose. You want to avoid duplicating all your content across all the platforms. So if you have a LinkedIn page, a Twitter page, a Facebook page, and an Instagram page, it's very easy to create some copy or graphics and post them on all of them. There's nothing in it for me. Why would I follow you on all 4 platforms if you're not giving me unique content designed for those platforms? And in session 2, we'll talk more specifically about the uses and the purpose of each of those platforms, but be diverse with photos, with imagery, with copy, with messaging. It takes more time, but worth the effort if you want your people to follow you on multiple social platforms. The next thing you want to do is keep it real. So you see this woman here, she's got 2 dogs. You could tell that it's Halloween. This looks like fun. I want to follow this person. She does fun stuff. You've got to watch, listen, learn. You got to be a part of the conversation. You need to stay active and current, right? So you can't post about things that happened 2 years ago if it's timely. You've got to make sure that you're using imagery. You want to be creative. And then feel free to capitalize off an existing campaign. The number 1 and 2 hashtags used for 2020 were Black Lives Matter, and the second one was COVID-19. Those are a great opportunity for you to stay relevant, stay current of what's happening in the times. The next thing you want to do is optimize your posting times. There are platforms that will help you identify when people are engaging the most. And later on, we'll really talk about some of those posting platforms and what the optimal time is, but you want to pay attention to those things. For example, posting your content at 3 p.m., probably not the best time. And then you want to be able to use social media influencers. So it's a great opportunity. You can pay for an influencer, or your customers can be your best influencers. And we'll drill into that a little bit later. There's a huge social media following around social media holidays. Basically, some social media people came up with all these holidays. You can go to Google, type in social media holidays, and find anything from it's ice cream day to doggy day to wear your jeans day. That's the perfect opportunity for you and your team members to capitalize on the social media holidays to, one, be present and engage in the conversation. There's some rules of the road for sure. You want to make sure that you're being consistent in voice, tone, and brand. And what I mean by that is when you identify what your social media goals are, that will help you. For example, our goals are happy, happy, joy, joy. So when people die, it's not that we don't care about it. We don't post about it because our brand is not death. Our brand is life, living life to the fullest. So way I may mourn for these people individually at home, I don't shout those things out. The next thing you want to do is be transparent. If you've made a mistake and it's very public, your customers and your clients are looking for you to be authentic and to be transparent and to make sure that you are ethical in everything that you do and take ownership for those mistakes. Making a mistake is the perfect opportunity for you to create a customer for life. It's not that making mistakes won't happen, it's how we handle those mistakes. Keep in mind that people don't buy widgets, we buy personality. And that's what your social media platform should do. So if everything has a bunch of text and it's always about pushing out information about your company and bragging about you, and you're never engaging people, you're never gonna grow your audience to where you need to be to kind of create a level of stickiness and to create sort of like a huge fan base. Photos, 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 photos. You've got to graphically tell your story by using photos. The second thing is video. Over 50% of all content right now on social media is video. When you're doing the videos, keep in mind a few things. One, right now, people are not always have their audio on, particularly if they're looking at social media from a phone. So you may want to create some sort of video software where the words show up at the bottom of the video so people know if they want to engage in it. People know if they want to go back, listen to it, what's going on. You want to make sure, again, that you're creating something compelling. When you go to get photos, please don't pull photos off the internet. You can be sued from that if you don't own the photos. It's super critical. My company was sued years ago for over $10,000. It's super critical that you purchase and make sure that your photos are royalty-free before doing that. When you look at this presentation, 90% of my photos were purchased, so I have the right to show them online. You want to minimize text on photos. Think ADA compliance, which is Americans with Disabilities Act. If you look at these images right here, nobody wants to read it and nobody cares. You want to keep the graphics simple, clean. What's the who, what, when, where, why, right? So when you look at the difference between a clean image, people are engaged, they want to read more. The graphics should be simple, and then the content, the meat, the teeth that you want people to read, that should go in the body area because those things are ADA compliant. So when you're looking at creating these things, it may mean that you either need to beef up your graphic design skills or hire someone when you're creating graphics, or show the picture, no graphics needed on the photo. Completely up to you. Angles matter and how you take the photo. This was taken a couple of years ago when I was in the south of France, and I took this picture just because this happens to me quite often. Many times the biggest mistake people make is there's this big Christmas tree or a large structure and they go stand in front of it. Well, then when you do that, I have to stand so far back that I actually can't see your face. The big Christmas tree, the big structure, the big picture, the whatever it is already big enough. So the goal is for you to stand 40 or 50 feet away from that large structure, have someone take the photo, so that way your face is close, the structure I can still see. So if you look on the photo on the left, you can't see my facial features. You can see I'm standing there, but if you look at the photo on the right, you can clearly see my face, my body, and then I Love Nisa standing right behind me. So keep this in mind when you're taking photos for the family, for social media platforms, etc. Seduce your clients with words. This is your opportunity to be funny, to be witty. The first thing you want to do is choose a compelling topic sentence. So the very first word of any social media post should tell the user, what is this post talking about? So if you don't have words on the image itself, then that first word should say, living my best life, right? Another one might be bucket list moment. And then it encourages the person who's following you to go through and read the copy. The next thing you want to do is focus more on the problem you solve versus how great you are. So you'll notice that in the very beginning when I introduced myself, we talked about how we transform images. So the problem we solve is transformation. If you look unprofessional, you come to our team to transform your image. I focus first on what I can do for you, and then second I talk about, now this is why my firm is the best person to do that. You want to make sure you keep it simple. You want to use trending hashtags, and you want to make sure that every sentence is its own paragraph. People don't want to read long paragraphs. They get tight, they get crowded. You want to make sure it's super easy to read, because keep in mind, I'm doing all of this with my thumb and I'm scanning. So you've got to be able to catch me within a second, 2 seconds max. Use emojis to bring attention to your copy, but more important, be funny, be clever, be witty. Think about the people that you follow on social media platforms. Think about why you follow them, and think about the people who you stop following. And when you think about those elements, it'll help you figure out who is going to be you and your brand for your company on social media. The next thing is that tagging rocks, and people don't use tagging enough. So before, we used to use tagging to tag our friends. We're hanging out, we're going to the beach, let me tag all my friends. Well, tagging for business can actually get you press or get you exposure to people you want to be exposed to. We have a client that runs a food truck, and in that food truck, they wanted to do free food for first responders when COVID first hit the scene. And so I recommended that my client go an hour early, do a post that says free food for first responders. That's the topic sentence. And then the details below there are, this is where we're going to be, here's what's going to happen. Then I asked them to tag all of the local news outlets. So KTLA 5, Channel 5 local news, KCAL 9 local news. That day, 2 people from the press showed up, because if it's a low press day, you can get people and press to show up for your event just by simply tagging to say they're there. So tagging gives your business an opportunity to get greater exposure, and it ensures that the people who are involved in the process also get tagged. So let's say you're doing a partnership and you're doing it with other companies. You want to make sure you tag those other companies, because those other companies could have a big social media following. And then when they see they're working together and working with you, then it encourages and motivates other people to also follow you. That is the power of tagging, and it's one of the most underutilized things for business owners. The next thing is hashtags create fans. And what people don't understand is that hashtagging is the ultimate form of indexing. It's the best. So for those of you who are over 35, before, when we used to go to libraries, now we all have the internet, but you'd go to a library system and they have the Dewey Decimal System. And imagine if I went in and said, I want to find the autobiography of Malcolm X. If there was no system that said, you're going to go to autobiographies, go to the African American section, and then it's going to be by last name, you wouldn't know how to find that content. So hashtagging does the exact same thing. It helps categorize and bucket your content. Let's say tomorrow we are going to go to Mexico, particularly we're going to go to Puerto Vallarta. I can use the hashtag of Puerto Vallarta and then see all the restaurants, all the fun, all the activities, and say, wow, I want to go to Puerto Vallarta as well. Another example of tagging, why it works, is that let's say you want to do a promotion. You can create your own hashtag for that promotion. And you can say, hey, post your funniest Halloween costume, or post your best, Valentine's Day kiss, or whatever you want to do. And then you tell them, use this hashtag. And that hashtag is custom to you, your business, and you can then choose winners based upon that, because you can go do a search for all the hashtags, see all the photos, see all the content, and really create a lot of engagement, a lot of buzz, a lot of activity regarding that. Hashtags are the quickest way to also grow your following, because people are going to follow hashtags. you should have 8 to 11 hashtags per post. So when you're looking at what's going on, what you want to do is kind of have like a master list of hashtags for your company. You might have 10 or 12. You don't use them for everything. And then you use hashtags based upon what you're posting about, the activity, the topic, etc. The best way to check out how do you find out what hashtags to use is to look at your competitors and see where they're showing up and look at their hashtags they're using and say, hey, these things work for my business. I can use those hashtags as well. If you do a service business, make sure that sometimes you throw your city into your hashtag so people know how to find you, or if you have a business that's only local and specific to your area. You might want to throw in NY for New York, LA for Los Angeles. Keep those things in mind. Sometimes hashtags go wrong. So in this situation, you can look that I'm sure Amazon meant to say Amazon's hit car show, and it came out as Amazon shit car show. So when you're looking at the hashtags, take a moment to say, is there something else happening with this hashtag? When Burger King wanted to talk about what the French fry, it looks like what the FF because it's an example of hashtags gone wrong. If these large organizations can mess up these hashtags, give yourself some grace when creating your own hashtags for your company or for your organizations. There's definitely some sweet spots for posting times. So the best time to post, and a lot of times if you're still sending out email blasts, this would follow along the same lines. Sending out an e-blast on a Monday or a Friday is never going to be a good idea. Mondays, people are hitting the ground running, they're trying to get to work, they're really focused, and Fridays, people are trying to wind down. So the optimal posting time is going to be Tuesdays through Thursdays, 11 to 2. The reason why the 11 to 2 window is there is because people have come to work, they've checked their email, they're caught up, and now they're taking a break, they're taking a pause, and that's there. Then it gets a little bit more detailed based upon the platform. So for Instagram, it's lunchtime and evenings, right? And on Sundays. For Facebook, it's lunchtime. They have higher engagement on Thursday and Friday, and Facebook, the worst day to post is Sunday. On LinkedIn, you should never post on the weekends because LinkedIn is a very professional platform. No one's checking LinkedIn on the weekend. And Twitter is going to be Wednesday and Friday, 9 a.m., but the best engagement's between Monday and Friday, 8 to 4. Never tweet after 10 p.m. Now, when I talk about engagement, I'm talking about anything from engaging with your post. So I can see your post and keep scrolling, but engagement means I actually take some sort of action. I like it, I make a comment, I forward it to friends and family. So when I refer to engagement, I'm talking about the user looking at your post and taking some sort of action versus scrolling through to the next part of the post. My favorite social media case study is the Popeyes Chicken Wars. And this is the part where if nothing proves why social media is awesome, this is it. So Chick-fil-A, the creator, the original of the chicken sandwich, Popeyes released a new word-of-mouth campaign that happened the majority on social media. So what happens is that once the chicken sandwich starts coming out, they're doing a giveaway, there's lines everywhere, and so Chick-fil-A decides to do a post that says, bun plus chicken plus pickles equals love for the original. So literally, the social media team at Popeyes was like, wow, they're trying to promote the original. They're feeling a little bit insecure. And so Popeye sends a tweet and it simply says, y'all good? And literally it went viral. It started the hashtag chicken wars. Literally Popeyes became the top Google search. They earned 8 billion impressions off of a tweet. Popeyes increased its market share by 30%, and I believe over 60 or 70% of franchise owners are Black. This was a really good thing for Black businesses last year when they did it 2 years ago. Their store traffic increased by 256%. And then they sold out of the buns. Their manufacturer couldn't produce enough buns to do it. So then Popeyes doubled down and said, BYOB, bring your own bun. So then people started pulling up the drive-thrus, bringing their buns, they're dropping the chicken in, and literally you have this huge campaign that transformed the chicken wars all because of a tweet that said, y'all good? So this is why social media is one of the best platforms right now for us to be using for our businesses. Keep in mind that when you're looking at, how do I know if I'm doing it right? What does success look like, right? So success is not always going to be measured by sales and revenue. Obviously in the Popeye situation, it was, but a lot of times it might just be exposure. Someone happened to see your post and realize they should call you. They're remembering who you are. Comments and shares are social media gold. If you can get someone to comment on your post or share your post, it's gold. Likes are great. More importantly, links to your website. So you should have some sort of Google Analytics installed, which is free, on your website, and you want to make sure that you see how many people have seen your social media platform, and does that traffic direct people to your website. With that said, your website needs to be prepared to answer the questions of a potential buyer or a potential user. Building an authentic and engaging and organic following is going to be the best. There are tons of people who use bots, which are computer-generated systems that help grow your following. That might be good if you are going to be speaking on a presentation, etc. Celebrities do it all the time. However, that's not going to translate into more revenue, more business. So the best way to do this is to create an organic following without using bots, which definitely takes a little bit more time and a little bit more interest. So I'm going to end it here and let you know that on our Part 2 series, we're going to start talking more specifically about platforms. Again, my name is BoniqueEdwards. Thanks for giving me your time.